Welcome everyone to Healing Beauty Symposium. I am so honoured and delighted to be hosting this with these 10 amazing speakers. And this is the place where you're going to really empower your feminine heart in life, in business, and in love. And today we are going to be kicking off with Anaiya Sophia. She's going to be talking to us about sacred body wisdom. Hello, Anaiya.
Hello, my beautiful, radiant friend. You are absolutely glowing. Take
that,
my eyes off you.
that beautiful feminine energy that we're all going to be tapping into. So before we get started, I just want to really open up this space. You know, we have been talking about the rise of the feminine, well, for some of us for a few lifetimes actually, you know, and we've been feeling it, and perhaps there's been lifetimes where it didn't quite happen. And so now is the time where actually we are looking at each other and saying, now does really feel like this time. And because it's Easter, I wanted to put this special symposium together on this time to really ride the energies of Easter and the resurrection of the feminine Christ, of the Holy Sophia, her with 1,000 names and yet also remains nameless in some ways. So that's really why I put this together, and I'm really honoured to be starting today with Anaiya, because if you've heard her speak, she opens up so much of your own innate wisdom and remembering. It's really beautiful. Yes. So just to introduce me, for those that don't know me, I really activate the divine feminine through the sacred womb space. When I started to connect to my own womb, it awakened in me all of this wisdom and remembrance of different lifetimes as a holder of the feminine flame, as an activator of the chalice light codes. And what I do is help women connect to that space so they can connect to their innate wisdom and birth through their greatest purpose. So really, I am about the sacred womb space, and you'll be hearing from me on the 15th. So because we are talking about the divine feminine during this, for me, her throne, her homecoming in the physical body is the sacred womb space. So I'd like to open us all up in a very short opening prayer and meditation where we really come into the womb space, and then we can get into this lovely talk with Anaiya. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just come into your breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth at your own rhythm. And just really calling your breath, inviting your breath to come up through your nostrils like a liquid light, and inviting this healing, activating light to come up through your nostrils and into your pineal gland, right in the center of your brain, your feminine center of I see. And then inviting this liquid light to start to come down through your face and your throat, your upper chest, and all the way into your heart, opening up your heart field, and then inviting this beautiful light to spiral down through your solar plexus, your torso, your stomach, past your navel, down your back and all the way to the triangular bone at the base of your spine, your sacrum. And then inviting this breath, this light you, to come spiraling around the pelvis on the left and the right side. Spiraling around the pelvis and coming and meeting at the front, just above your pubic bone, and then inviting this light deeply into your womb, your spiritual womb space. So whether you have a physical uterus or not, does not matter. Just inviting this light, this presence into your womb. And just inviting yourself now, in your womb and your heart, into this sacred space. This sacred space encircled together. And then coming down from your womb into the root, into Mother Earth, Gaia beneath you. And just feeling how all of our roots, all of our wombs are connected. Inviting you into this sacred space together as we open up this symposium. To restore the divine feminine. In each of us. Just taking a moment now to feel yourself in this space. Perhaps there's a message, feeling, a memory. As we gather together today in this timeless moment. And just now starting to feel the physical edges of your body. Starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You just start to invite yourself back into your body. And when it feels appropriate, you can just very gently open your eyes, coming in. And so we are here tonight, today, this morning, wherever you are, to hear from Anaiya Sophia. She is a mystic, an author, whisperer, librarian of sacred wisdom. And if you feel a calling towards that tradition in Mary Magdalene, the Holy Sophia, the Christ, you will feel a palpable truth when you hear Anaiya speak. She has written 9 books, including Fierce Feminine Rising, Womb Wisdom, and Sacred Relationships. And she's here today to talk to us about sacred body wisdom. Welcome, Anaiya, to Healing Beauty.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for that beautiful and very touching introduction.
It's just lovely to connect, and I guess there'll be those that are watching that know you so well and those that don't. But before we get into sacred body wisdom, I wondered if you would share with us a little bit about your journey.
Yes, I would say from a very early age, 5, 6, my father introduced me to Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit in a sort of secretive way, because he was quite a passionate Catholic and my mum was a little bit of an atheist. So it was in secret. And on the other hand, my mum was secretly introducing me to Avebury and Stonehenge, the magical stone circles of Wiltshire. And again, behind Dad's back. So I really understood, wow, there is indeed another world, a presence, an invisible, loving, comforting presence. And yes, I do feel it when the priest gives me a blessing. And I also feel it when I touch these standing stones and see the mists rolling in around Avebury Stone Circle. But what I didn't understand is why Mum and Dad would argue so much over who was right and who was wrong. So even as a little tot, my interest was supremely ignited and wondering what on earth this was all about and why is there such a strong polarity between my mum and dad. But it feels the same. So right from an early age, I had this hunger, I had this thirst, I wanted more blessings. I really loved this Holy Spirit presence that the priest was talking about. And I loved I guess it was like a pagan druid sensation that Mum was perhaps reintroducing me to. And I loved the tales of ancient Britain. So that was it. I was off and running at a very young age. And it was always love that was the tip of the spear, the spearhead. Wanted to see love, wanted to hear love, wanted to give it at that level and not be afraid of allowing that amount of love through you and receiving. And there was always a certain look in the old eye. That's what I was looking for. And I could see who had it and I could see who didn't. And that was it. I went in search of that love everywhere. And then, of course, comes the golden question, why? Is it really what you are seeking out there, or are you really actually looking to just surrender to it and allow it to come through you, hopefully with not too many expectations? So yeah, love was the way.
Oh, that is really beautiful. And I can just feel that as what you're opening up to there about surrendering to the love to come through you. So would you tell us a bit about the sacred body wisdom? Because I know that's something that you've been working on for 25 years or so, isn't it?
I've always loved moving around in this body. Um, I have a strange little body. It's little. It's 5'2". I'm quite compact. So I've got a lot of physical energy. Um, and it feels as if I sit right in the center of it. I feel like I'm a little feminine tank. So I've never been that long, leggy, willowy beauty. I've just been me, a little bit of, you could say, a little squirt. But despite the smallness, there's a heck of a lot of energy that comes through. And if I don't move this body of mine, I can start to get a little bit funky. The mind gets restless. And of course, it becomes agitated. So I learned at a very early age, I have to keep moving. I have to change gear energetically and keep this system working. combined with always a sense of mystical teachings, or mystical healings, actually, is probably a better word, that the feminine was up to in those places we once called the temple. Now, I do blame my mother for this, because she used to love watching fabulous Liz Taylor and Richard Burton movies, Cleopatra, Ben-Hur. But the thing is, I wasn't paying attention to their dresses and hair. I was looking at the little arm bracelets. I was looking at the imagery in the background, especially if it was ancient Egypt. I was looking at the pharaohs, and it piqued my interest. And I knew that the temple was a place of healing. And I knew at the early days, I sensed at the early days, man, woman, and child even would go to the temple to receive their medicine. That there were women inside that knew how to heal other folk, and that they did it with their body. I knew it wasn't what was happening in the church of my time. I loved the blessing from the priest, but I knew, oh no, the women weren't doing blessings like that. No, they were blessing. They used everything within their womanly form to bless, and that it was clean, it was appropriate, it was respectful. But there was no limit, there was no limitation to what that medicine might look like in an appropriate, heartfelt, compassionate way. So for the children, there was an appropriate way with the child. If the child had entered a trauma or a depression, they would appropriately work with that energetically, emotionally, physically. Same with a man coming home from war. Same with a woman losing many, many children in childbirth. And so at a certain point, again, going back to an old mystical text, I think it's from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, something along the lines of, if you do not bring out what is inside of you, what is inside of you will kill you. And if you do bring out what is inside of you, what is inside of you will save you. Now, I knew if I don't start paying real attention to this kind of temple imagery and this invitation to say, explore, there are some things you're carrying, you're holding, some medicines, some ways with the body. If you don't bring it out because of your stiff, upper-lipped Britishness, you're actually going to become rather gnarly and die because of it. Because it's so huge, it had to come out. And so when I was about 42, I finally dared to bring my awkward British self into such close proximity with fellow human beings in a really vulnerable way. And it just ignited. So first of all, it was nearest and dearest, people I loved and trust, and vice versa. And we spoke afterwards, and it was just a jaw-dropping yes. So that was Sacred Body, and that was Sacred Body Awakening. And this was before COVID. COVID came along. I was isolated and alone at home, and I knew who my nearest and dearest were. So I wanted to find a way that we could still work with this energy, because I saw COVID as a little bit of a curveball to the gathering and the momentum that was coming. So the feminine was truly rising. There was art, there was creativity, there was beauty, there was healing, there was family. All of her many faces were coming. And then suddenly, curveball, no gathering. Everyone put a mask on. social distance, do not embrace, do not see one another. Definitely in France, do not kiss when you meet. So everything that is that feminine was like, the brakes were put on. So sacred body wisdom came from that, a solitary and practice of aloneness, but bringing through that comforting, blessing, reconciliation, that's a good word, reconciliation in the body. And now, of course, we have the war, another curveball. And this is how I see these events, strong energies of a psychic nature. If we're going to talk about Sophia, we might say an archonic influence, an archonic force, just like, stop getting too feminine, stop getting too close, stop getting too close to your nature. Let's just throw some marbles in the path and watch everyone jump and fall over. On one level. On another level, this is a terrifying, frightening, horrendous annihilation. So make sure everyone knows I'm talking on many different levels. I am.
I understand, because we can feel that happening, and it's especially because the veils are slipping, we really feel it on a much deeper level than other atrocities we've seen, you know, in the recent years. I feel that people can feel this so much. So yes, I completely hear what you're saying.
Yeah. I remember when the war first began, I was actually on my bed for the best part of 10 days. Because of my age, I'm 52, so I went through that period in the 80s where nuclear war was really quite possible. And my dad, being my dad, we would have conversations about what would we do if the siren goes off. And he'd say, you've got 20 minutes to decide. I'm 12. But what I used to find interesting, we all decided we're going to step into the light, that, you know, me, mum and dad, we didn't want to try and survive. We would step into the light. So that's interesting phraseology, to actually, you know, go outside and step into the light. So, you know, all of that came up again when these guys started mentioning the possibility of a nuclear warfare.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this wisdom school, this mystery school, I guess, of sacred body awakening and sacred body wisdom, what can some people do alone? What are kind of the key principles that they can start to look at?
Well, there's 3 levels to it. The first one, we could say something like, okay, everybody, let's begin our sacred body wisdom. Today's subject is regret. We are going to freely move the body. You know, no one's knowing what's coming next, whether you're on your tummy crawling, whether you're on all fours, standing, sitting, rolling. And we're looking for a place of regret, but we're looking for a zone of regret. We're not looking for why, who's it connected to, when did it come? No, none of that. We're just looking for a place of regret. And body's pretty good at saying, it is here. It's in the solar plexus, it's in the diaphragm. And then there's 3 stages. There's the imagining. So we really imagine what that diaphragm looks like, where it sits in the body, its ability to connect with the liver and the pancreas. So we could do our little subtle anatomy bit. And then we go into somatic experiencing, where we're not looking at diaphragm, we are. diaphragm. So we are that muscular plateau, and we're looking out and we can see the liver to our right, we can see the spleen to our left, we can see there's a spine behind us, and perhaps a little layer of fat in the front. My age. So that's somatic experiencing. So you're not looking at it anymore, you have become it. And then finally, after deepening and deepening, there will eventually be an embodiment. So you're not visualizing anymore, you're not having a conversation, you just are. You just are. And then there's another 3 steps. This is the reconciliation piece. Can I coexist with this? So you've rubbed up against the regret. You're with it, you're dancing with it like a dance partner. Can I coexist with this? Yes. So it's only coexist. It's not be ecstatically happy. Just coexist. Yes. Can I trust the actual place it came from? Can I place the place of sacred origins? So not the person, not the regular human being that perhaps was involved in your regret making. Can we trust that it came from sacred origins? Yes. And then finally, may I have empathy for all involved? Self, the other, the situation, the circumstance. Usually, although I have found some no's in my own experience, but give it a day or two and you'll find some yeses. When those 3 yeses arrive, that body of ours is profoundly different. There's grace, there's beauty, there's softness. And of course, there's more energy returning to our little mothership. So it's not all sort of tied up somewhere, being regretful. It's now softened, part of the system again.
I can really feel that, like a sigh and a softening in, and a deep love and acceptance for all of us and the experiences we have.
Yes. And body parts can engineer an impulse movement. So it's not our limbs moving around like a dance, but it's like unknown movement. The diaphragm, the liver, the brain is impulsing the body to lead in this way. Amazing.
Yeah, I can really feel that. Wow. When you found women doing this with you, or indeed men, people,
Yes.
humanity, what have been their experience afterwards?
Usually there's chat of, I've never moved in this way. I didn't even know my body could move in this way. And that's what's fascinating. A very stiff and non-athletic body might sit down. And the music, of course, is absolutely exquisite and perfect for the kind of journey. And suddenly they're writhing and flipping and stretching and being like fully eloquent in the body. And they're looking back going, what? All this yoga practice, all these martial arts, all this jogging, it never opened me as much as this unknown surrender is opening me. It's like stiffness and injury, and what was a no just becomes this sweet yes. Because it's the feminine, that's leading. There's no competition, there's no goal, there's no like, you got to do this 26 times. It's she has the body, and she is showing us when she is in, it's very comfortable on
Yeah.
every level. It's so much more comfortable.
Wow. Well, I can really feel it. Like it's like a magic of sacred temple dance and bringing the feminine spirit into the body.
Yes, yes, yes. And so much wisdom, impressions, senses, hunches, insights, reflections. So afterwards, everyone's scribbling like mad, everything that they encountered, saw, received instruction on, a whole treasure chest of wisdom and insight just comes pouring through. And the mind, because it's so steady and lucid, it's like noticing everything. There's no distractions. And it feels like it really is, it's a body medicine for this time. So as these curveballs keep coming, this will keep us strongly rooted in the feminine so that the rising can continue, and that these devastating activities that are happening in the patriarchal world don't swerve us. The rising continues quietly, steadily, discreetly, honestly at home.
Yes. I can so feel that. It's amazing because what's happening with this in the patriarchal world, I find is re-triggering for us a lot of our wounds. I've really seen that with my family and my friends.
Yes.
And they're not knowing what to do with it. Actually, a lot of people are trying to ignore it because they don't have the tools to go within.
Yeah.
And so this is an invitation to go within and heal and get to know all of these things that are inside of us, all these things that are being re-triggered, I guess.
Absolutely. When Russia and Ukraine first began, in my gut was this almighty fear that this was going to sweep across Europe, and of course it still could. So the first thing I done was get to grips, literally, with that terror in my belly that France is going to see tanks and soldiers walking past. Now I can talk about it, and now I can hold it. I can hold it in my body as a possibility, but that terror, that paralysis, and that deadening of the feminine is not happening anymore. So the
Yeah.
beauty is still there. Sometimes I bring these terrible events into the movement. So it's not as if I'm disassociating,
Yes.
saying, hey, you're not come into my sacred space. No, come on in. Come on in, really, the agony of it all. And we will move and breathe together.
Because that's what the feminine can do, is can, like you say, all of it. There is nothing for this divine mother that she cannot love and embrace and be with. And I can really feel that we can do that in ourselves, for ourselves,
Yes.
and actually I'm feeling for humanity in a way as well.
All my little hairs are on ticking porcupine. That's some of the most glorious teachings, of the Black Madonna or the Dark Feminine, that you can just pour your yuck into her and she will just take it in, hold it for a while, and then recycle it back to you as golden, sweet, innocent light. So there's nothing you cannot show her and she would go, oof.
Yes.
Her
Yes.
very essence is to do that.
And we need this whole,
Anna.
yes.
Yeah, yes, the dakinis. That is the material they actually desire. They desire the darker material, the struggling, the suffering, the pain, the wound. They're saying, please give to me.
So they can alchemize it.
Yes.
And we all have this ability within.
Yes. But I would say it's a really good idea to start off in your magnificent light. So if you're kind of half-hearted or you've had a bad day, it will probably get the better of you and you'll just join in and become that suffering once again. But if we start off palpably in our heart, full Christed heart open, innocence, humility, totally connected with the Great One, then we can begin to take it on, knowing that we're not alone, we're working together, and that we still have the spirit of sending out that beauty. And it's genuine. We are sincerely emanating beauty, innocence.
I get that, not just this love and light baby
No,
here, but this real
the
physical, actually.
fibers.
Yeah.
The fibers. I love.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because the body has been in damnation, the body has been desecrated and made unholy. And then so has this dark feminine element. She's been, put in jail, in damnation. And these are the very things.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. When we were doing the Sacred Body Awakening, when we could feel the touch of another upon us, and there was trust, like really rightful trust. Trust is in the room because trust really is in the room. Love is in the room. Care is in the room. At times, a parental aspect is in the room so that you can have an infant moment. When human beings show up in that way, and there's no elephants in the room, there's not one little wriggly energy that says, "Ooh, there's a strange agenda in this room." It's got to be a small amount of people, obviously, at the beginning. But when you have your group of people and you've been through the ringer together and there is love and trust, that is powerful building blocks for this new earth.
Yes.
And again, I believe it's bodily encounters that brings in that full trust. We can't talk our way into trust. We can love someone and find them fabulously enchanting and like bedazzling through word, but we don't know if we can trust them yet. Only when the body is made available and you place your body card on the table and go, "Here's my body, eek, I'm a bit scared about this," and you get met with love and trust. Now there's trust in the room. If we leave the body out, we haven't been as vulnerable as we need to become. But we also have to be pretty sure that the ones we're opening up to are indeed trustworthy candidates. So we're never going to have 100% this person is trustworthy at the beginning.
Yeah, but it takes that going in, and I guess you can apply that, when we are in relationship with someone as well, that gamble almost that we do. I'm going to give you my heart and my body. Can I trust you? And there's this, some women have difficulty opening up to this intimacy, or to a deep relationship because they've been hurt and not been able to process that, perhaps. So
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is what this kind of togetherness, that's what it brings. A safe container to be able to just give it another go. In the safety, amongst sisters, amongst friends, amongst elders, amongst young ladies, just to give it a go again.
Yeah. Where can people who want to dive deeper into this subject, where can they find more information or resources maybe that you have?
Well, my website, which is my name, anayasophia.com, there's loads on there. There's transmission, there's stories, there's videos, there's podcasts. There's quite a nice amount there to most definitely begin this work.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Mercury energy, so I'm very fast in developing. It's kind of like, whoa, now what's she up to? Oh, sacred body wisdom.
I do see, actually, because I follow you, you do put a lot of
Yeah.
things out there. I'm really aware of that. So I will put the link up and we'll really invite people to go and have a look, dive in deeper. And I wondered if I'd love to open up for questions now. So I'm going to open up. If you have a question, I think you can just type it in the chat box. And please, any questions on anything, really, any of the subjects that we've talked about here today. And if there's any questions in the Facebook group, I will also try and look at those. But I know sometimes what happens is it starts to create a noise. So I will start to have a look. And please let us know if you have any questions. This is your chance to ask Anaiya directly any questions that you may have. And I am trying to have a look at this video without it making too much of a noise. Here we go. So, oh, beautiful. We've got lots of people in the group as well, from Egypt, from Eastern Europe, from the US. So there is a question in the group, which I'm going to put here. That is from Magdalena. And she asked, yeah, nice name. How long does it usually take a person to ease into such an intuitive movement?
I guess she's talking about the sacred body wisdom. I would say almost instant. Almost instant if that piece of music is absolutely resonant to your soul's nature. I am such a music buff. Music and oil, music and fragrance. So I've collected all of this soulful music that I just have to hear a few bars and I'm off. One of the first hurdles I encountered was an awkwardness in my body if I didn't have instruction on how I'm supposed to be moving. I remember my first 5 rhythms class. I was like, where is the door? Plus, oh my God, I really want to do this, but I didn't know how. I was told how to move, either that or I was a nightclub dancer. In between was unknown territory, so there might be a little bit of awkwardness, which could give way to some beautiful tears. Dancing in front of a full-length mirror. Well, it's not dancing. Moving in front of a full-length mirror is also another layer to the depth of it all. But finding your music, I believe it's parallel. It's necessary for this kind of journey.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And I have another question as well. This is from Nesma in Egypt. This is a really good question. What if you trust the wrong body and it hurts you, Anna?
Well, I believe this is why I'm here. I did trust the wrong body, and it did hurt me. And even on my healing journey, coming back to perhaps trust again, I saw in the many sort of Tantra circles that I frequented, well, I still can't trust. There's flipping elephants in this room and no one is saying anything. So I believe it was my scar of being misguided and showing up in vulnerability, and it wasn't actually the wisest choice. So you could say that's my wounding, or I say, no, actually, that's my scar. It is because of that very fact that I had to bring out the sacred body. And I had to be a hawk in the room, and I'm a hawk, because I'm looking for the elephants. I'm looking for where it could get a bit wriggly. And I don't judge or tell anyone off. I just sort of steer everyone back to that central line. So maybe, our dear friend in Egypt, you could turn that into an ally in time. That whatever it is you encountered actually becomes the backbone and the flagstone of what you now give out to the world because of what you encountered, because that's exactly what I did.
I can really feel that. And actually, I have a scar that's similar. It was a narcissistic, abusive relationship. But what that did was it was the biggest calling to step into this work and my power. He had to grind me, my nose to the ground, so that I would step into myself. So I really resonate with that. Yes. Yeah.
There's a great tale, it's called The Story of Bluebeard. And all the Jungian analysts often refer to that one. And that's what that's about. It's about that young, naive person trusting in the wrong person, trusting in Bluebeard, nearly having his or her life snuffed out, making a comeback, and then turning into the hero or the heroine.
Yes.
So that mythology is there, and it's a very recognizable journey.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to just see if there's any other questions. Is there any questions for those watching on Zoom? And I'm just going to have a look in the group. Yes, I think we've answered that. So she asked, so your wound is your remedy, and then she says thank you. So yes. Your awakening, I guess, your path to perhaps make a change.
Definitely. And I even feel that there could be some wounds that don't actually get healed because they're not meant to. But I put a little end piece on that saying there are some wounds you actually take to God, him or herself. So they do eventually get wounded, by a touch, by a gaze, by some words. But there are some on earth, and this is my one. I also had narcissistic partner. That's never going to get healed entirely. But I'm really okay with that. Because I know one day, this beautiful divine parent will just whoosh.
Yeah.
And that's going to be rather lovely. That's going to be extremely lovely to actually have it wiped clean. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to hold on to this one because I want God to heal this one. Thank you very much. In the meantime, it's going to be my superpower to bring forth many, many medicines.
Yes, I love that.
It's taken me 10 years to be able to talk like this. Only now has the joy returned, the lightness. It was a long job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because if you are in a difficult relationship or kind of wounding, it's hard to see the divine comedy of it almost, and the joy. So yeah, that's a really, really, really good point, because you need someone almost to really help guide you out of that path. I know that I did, because you get, the worst thing with that type of thing is like your soul gets fragmented.
Yes, yes, yes.
We have
Oh,
another question here in the group
hmm.
about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Ooh. Very,
Read
very.
it out actually, because I've realized the group can't see it. So it's a question about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Hmm.
Does that mean illness manifests when not integrating soul wisdom or soul aspects, like obstructing the divine flow?
Great question. Now remember, I can only give you my opinion, or rather, my intuition. It's just mine. When I read that statement, I read it in two levels. Yes, if you don't bring out your soul's wisdom, it will ferment, turn gnarly, and grow bitter. It could manifest as illness, or it could manifest as a bitter character. Then, a couple of years later, I read it in a different way. So if you do not bring out what is inside of you, which is your wounding, your shadow, your mean-spiritedness, that too. So there's a paradox going in here. If you do not bring out what's inside of you, what's inside of you will kill you. If you do bring out what's inside of you, what's inside of you will save you. So it's like, what are you saying? You're saying if I bring my shadow out, all of its venom and poison, all of its rah, it's going to save me? And of course, as a Gnostic, as a mystic, you soon get used to the paradox, because the path is one of opposite meanings, and learning not to be so rooted in one section of the brain, the masculine logic, the feminine intuition. So I definitely read it that way.
Yeah, I think
It
that's,
certainly wasn't threatening. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a threat. It was just like a clean wisdom. Simply, you have to bring out your soul's gift.
yeah.
You do.
There's actually a great saying, I think it's from the Essenes, and it says something like, anything that doesn't follow its purpose self-destructs.
Oh, that's a good one.
So and actually, if we look at it from a universal perspective and take our personality out of it, if God, Goddess has brought each of us in with a purpose, and each thing, actually, I'm talking objects, let's say something like a car. If a car doesn't serve its purpose to drive and it's stuck in a driveway, it self-destructs. And
Yes.
so it's like the energy gets broken down to be reused or recycled into something that is following its purpose. You know, this universal law, nothing is lost or gained, it only changes form. I really feel it's like a universal law, not a personal attack, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. Murph.
Little
That's a
saying
nice
here,
one.
unexpressed pain remains, but pain expressed through passion reveals beauty beyond compare.
Beautiful.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. So we are going to begin to wrap up now. So let us know if there's any last questions. I'm going to be putting Anaiya's links in the group and on the page, and I will also be sending out a replay to everyone with her link as well. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, and thank you so much, Anaiya, for opening up with this beautiful sacred body wisdom.
Oh, many, many blessings to all the others coming on, those listening, those speaking. And if I may just have one moment just to say, myself and my husband, we live in Cathar, France. We live just at the bottom of Chateau de Montségur, the old Cathar fortress. So if you ever fancied a little tour, a little guide in these mysteries and into the sacred sites, then maybe you would consider staying with us, because we have a B&B.
Yeah, I'm going to be coming to see you in July, so we'll put the link as well to Les Contes. The story fairy tale, isn't it, in French?
That's right. That's how amazing.
Yeah. You can't,
That wasn't me making the
me.
name up. That's what the house is called.
So yeah, we will put those links up as well. And oh, there is one question: is there a sacred body practice we can do in our own time?
Well, yes, this is the sacred body wisdom. This is the, you just come up with the word regret, lostness, jealousy, hurt, exile. One word, so you don't give the brain too much to hold on to. I am going to move in search of parts of me in exile. And you've got your beautiful soul music going. And you're looking, remember, for those 3 steps. Can I coexist with this? Do I trust where this is really coming from? You don't need to know. You don't need to analyze. We're not doing therapy. We don't need to know nothing. We just need to move with it as a dance partner. And then finally, can there be empathy? And body is very okay with these simple, vague questions. The vaguer, actually, the better. It just keeps the mind like, what's going on? I'm really confused. Body's like, don't worry about it. Just move.
I love it. Well, we'll put those 3 points in the email as well, so everyone has them. Oh, and that is Tanya, who I think's worked with you before, Anaiya. So
Yes.
so much.
Hello, my love. Is it? Yes. Oh. Yes, it's just like sacred body awakening for yourself.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Tomorrow we are live again in the morning at 10 a.m. European time, and we'll be speaking to Alexandra Cousins from Living Mucus Free. She's going to be talking to us about the patriarchal matrix within the cellular matrix. So I'm really excited to hear from her as well. Please put your questions, if you're watching the replay, please put your questions in and comments. I will go and read all of them, and I will try and get all of your questions asked as we go along. So thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Anaiya.
Thank you. Thank you.